Aubrey's brief lives, eh?
Yeah, so Aubrey is not Aubrey Beardsley, but John Aubrey, a dude who lived maybe almost entirely inside the 17th century, and he was a bit of an antiquarian. So that's kind of like a historian, maybe interest in archaeology, although most archaeologists nowadays would poo-poo it as archaeology. But I've kind of done a little work with archaeology and stuff like that. A lot of the stuff not done nowadays by archaeologists is well-meaning vandalism, stuff like that. Anything that's excavated with a chronology that is based on the chronology of ancient Egypt is borderline vandalism, well-meaning and all that sort of stuff. It's not looting like it was back in the day here. I think Aubrey talks about one person that got a mummy. I can't remember. It went, of course, they brought it to England. So some of those mummies are coming from a desert where it hardly ever rains in southern England. So what do you think happened to it in England?
It got rotted out.
It got mold on it pretty quickly. So that kind of stuff is pretty ignorant, really. Anyway, Aubrey's brief life. So apparently he was had a little trouble getting stuff together. I can't be too critical because maybe I'm much the same way. He did get it published. Some of it I think was published right whatever. But most of it toward it looks like the end of his life. So it looks as though this was published somewhere between, maybe in parts, between 1980. That was a long time ago, but not that long. 1680 to 1690, somewhere around there. I haven't run across too many groups after 1690 in here. And so some of these people that he's giving biographies of actually knew and hung with, so some of the famous people, I don't know if he hung with Isaac, he seems to have hung with Thomas Hobbes, the famous, or maybe he should have been infamous philosopher and stuff like that, right? Philosopher, supporter of royalty, stuff like that.
Anyway.
So I think these are excerpted. So I think he wrote a whole lot more about a whole lot more people. And I'm going, wow, that's amazing, because I might have heard of 10% of the people represented in here. So if you multiply this by 2, I would have known 5% of the people multiplied by 4, or something like 2.5%. So it's getting down to the point where it's almost like trivia or something like that. One of the things I don't like, there's much of it, I won't say most of it, 160 pages of the 512 pages. So that's about a third of it is about Aubrey's life himself. And, like, wow, it's pretty cool. So the other thing I don't like about Aubrey started off as a left-winger, someone who believed in democracy. And he changed. He's kind of maybe flip-flopping a little bit. He was living during the first Civil War in England, also the second Civil War. Well, Civil War. They call it a Civil War. It's a revolution. Come on now. England had 3 revolutions before any other country had one. So, strictly speaking, I call the American War of Independence a Revolutionary War. That's how it used to be known, how it still is alternatively known. And that's one reason why the world, that's why Australia, Canada, United States, and England are so far ahead of the rest of the world in terms of democracy and stuff like that. That got that horrible stuff out of the way. You look at the Greeks when they had their revolutions, when they got rid of kings, what followed was not democracy, it was tyrants. And what happened in the First English Revolution, the one roughly between 1642 and 1660, I had a tyrant or two. Oliver Cromwell, the Lord Protector. It was his title. Well, it was largely protecting his own interests. And then I think they tried to get his son to replace him, Richard Cromwell. Didn't work out terribly well. That's about 2 years, 1658 to 1660. So it's interesting kind of times. This guy knew a lot of poets and stuff like that. The poetry generally was pretty bad there during that era. I used to not like George Herbert, but because he wrote religious stuff. I think he didn't invert that much. But Ben Jonson inverted, and he kind of set the tone for the next 150 years or so, 150 years or so. Lots of inversion and stuff like that. Anyway, do I recommend it? It's only for diehards. But it's actually interesting for diehards. People are interested in literature or science, the development of science. This was amazing. Isaac Newton, Robert Hooke, Robert Boyle, a famous chemist. There's a Boyle's law in chemistry and stuff like that. Robert Hooke, I think, might have been, he was definitely a nicer guy. No, I won't say definitely, but I think he was a much nicer guy than Isaac Newton. And I think he might have been the better scientist. In the book here, it says that Robert Hooke claimed the inverse square law for gravitation for himself. Isn't that interesting? That's maybe Isaac Newton's most proud accomplishment. It looks as though he plagiarized it off of Robert Hooke. And Robert Hooke, let's look at what he said about light versus Isaac Newton. Isaac Newton, it's a particle. Well, do an experiment, dude. Now, he didn't get around to doing an experiment on that, at least the definitive one, but about 75 years after he died, a guy called Thomas Young, another English dude, did the experiment. It's no, it's not a particle, it's a wave. And that's what I believe it was Robert Hooke said. It's a wave. So you tell me who the better scientist is. It's starting to look like Robert Hooke. When you first read the Principia Mathematica of Isaac Newton, you just go, this is just, some of this stuff was just a little bit after Shakespeare died. Wow. Because there's equations in there, all this kind of stuff. But it wasn't just Isaac Newton. And to me, I suspect Robert Hooke was the greater scientist. Particularly when you look at this light thing. This light thing, particle thing, is a play on physics. And the big trouble is the guy who's considered to be even better, or greater, more of a genius than Isaac Newton, Einstein, resurrected this old, dirty, stupid theory, from that should have died with Isaac Newton 1727 when Newton died. But no, now that's what we're stuck with 100+ years after Einstein. And what would it be like 300 years after Newton died? We're stuck with this stupid theory that light is, well, it's even stupider because it's both a particle and a wave. Here's the deal, physicists, especially you theorists. It's lost on you because you don't believe in experiment. You believe in thought experiments if you believe in experiments. Get an experiment, preferably several, that tell you, that would be the hard task. Get it between your thick ears. Tell us which it is. It can't be both. That's a paradox. That's medieval thinking. You want to think that way, that's your business. But resign. I don't want to be paying your way at universities for you to propagate, perpetuate medieval thinking. That's a paradox. You get rid of it. You get the experiments that determine, preferably several, that determine which it is. It's one or the other. When you say it's both, you are doing the equivalent of writing a true-false test and writing true or false. And if you did that, writing in a physics test or any other test at university, anywhere, a kindergarten test, you would get a great big 0. And that's what you deserve, and that's what you do deserve for propagating and perpetuating this stupid medieval thinking. So don't waste your money buying this. It's a nice Penguin edition, and only for diehards, people who are interested in history, a history of science, a history of English letters, shall we say. Otherwise, there are other things to deal with. Anything there that you've got?
X-Men United. We watched it again. I don't believe I've ever reviewed this.
No.
But we enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it pretty well. Yep. Maybe the best
Well,
X-Men view that I've
The
had.
most interesting thing about this movie, watching it now, is realizing that we had seen Sookie Stackhouse before.
Yeah. It took me a while to even realize it watching it then. I'm going, wow. She has a little bit more flexibility as an actor than I thought she had. But yeah, playing Rogue.
Hangover Part 3.
Yeah.
I didn't enjoy this nearly as much as the first one or the second one, but I still enjoyed it. So I'm glad we own both of these.
I enjoyed
because
it
we'll
pretty
probably
well.
watch them again.
And what I got to say is, I just thought, what do you do for a follow-up? How do you have a hangover for a hangover for a hangover? They did a pretty job.
That's
I enjoyed it.
yeah.
Yeah. I had a big dish of popcorn. Made it last the whole movie. I was having so much fun. What did we watch? X-Men after that?
Yeah.
It took me 2 hours and 40 minutes to go through that bowl of popcorn. I really savored it. It was
good.
pretty darn good movie viewing, you know? That's all I got to say.
I still have the curry powder in my fingernails from.
Yeah, I was wondering what that was. I said, I didn't take up smoking overnight, did
Yeah,
I?
I know.
Yeah.
We've been trying different flavors of popcorn. So we had this spice collection that was given to us that was best before 20 years ago, and
That's an interesting sort of thing.
and it's the spices in the shakers are, you can't shake them; they're
They're
solid
kind of clumped
now.
together,
Yeah.
right?
So, but besides that, they still. I mean, we didn't get sick or anything. So
Anything that eats a
still had
spice,
flavor.
I don't
And
think it's going to kill you.
no. So we've been going through the various spices. They're from the Canary Islands, and it's interesting just to know what kind of things they like to eat in the Canary Islands. What kind of spices. So this last one was a kind of curry powder with saffron and turmeric.
It tasted pretty good with popcorn,
Yeah, it was
gotta say.
delicious.
Now you put some sesame
Olive
oil.
Well,
Was
I
it-
put
there was
sesame
some
oil in
mustard oil?
yours
Yeah,
because
that
you've chosen sesame oil.
and well, we're running out of olive oil.
We are. We have
So
sort of
I just wanted to.
yeah. Well, we
you
also
know.
have coconut oil. We could, but I
Well,
mean that's pretty fattening. I used to do things like that for us. I'd put coconut oil or
Well,
ghee on the popcorn,
yeah.
but
I find.
I
oh,
shouldn't
sorry.
even have the olive oil. Honestly, I shouldn't be having it.
So here's a consumer report. I can't really notice the difference. Once the spice is put in between margarine, butter, sesame oil, maybe not so much coconut oil, or the olive oil. And olive oil is pretty healthy for you, isn't it?
Yeah,
So
but I'd rather have the olives and not
Yeah.
the olive oil. I don't like eating oils of any kind. It's not good for me. It just pops out under my eyes, so I can't have that.
but here's the deal. If you want popcorn, think you can eat it, I'd recommend the olive oil.
Yeah, and various spices flavors it up.
Yeah.
Like we had.
So what
also-
did we have?
Well, first we tried the pizza flavor because that was.
I must have
quite
liked that
tasty.
pretty good.
Yeah.
I
we
love
put,
pizza.
We put the pizza flavor on, and we put nutritional yeast and olive oil. And for a while there, you were having a different oil. What was that?
Well, it was a different oil every time, it seemed to me, but
I don't know.
maybe
Anyway.
there was some.
Doesn't-
Anyway, we had one
And
that was steak and something. It
there
wasn't
was some
steak
sort
and
of a
kidneys.
steak seasoning, I think.
Oh yeah,
And that
that
one
was
was-
the least
Yeah.
people. But
I don't know. The kebab one was super hot.
Yeah, it was. There
But
was one there.
There's
that was
one that I
scorching hot.
haven't tried
I was
yet that
coughing.
says that it's extremely hot.
Oh, that's
So,
scary.
Yeah.
Yeah, with that one, I was coughing on the first
Yeah.
mouthful.
Yeah.
So Bit of a
But,
surprise.
surprisingly, I think my favorite has been the turmeric. There was one that was a flavored sea salt or something. That was good.
Yeah, it was nice and salty. I kind of like that. I liked everything, even the steak thing. You know.
Yeah, I even like that.
I was amazed you ate that. You know, I don't
Well, I
think
could
there's much
try
steak
it with
in
some.
Yeah.
Well, there's no steak.
Maybe
It's
just
just
steak flavor.
seasoning. No, it's seasoning to put
Seasoning
on.
for steak.
That's what it is.
Okay, I didn't grasp what.
No,
you
it
said.
says what's in every one
Okay,
of them.
so yeah, that would have been a bit of a revelation. Anyway,
Yeah, no, I wasn't going to eat steak. That would be
No.
terrible. Eating 20-year-old steak. I don't think a person. Well,
eating 20-hour-old steak would be.
yeah,
annoying for me.
I don't know if a person would live through that.
Well, I mean, it depends. Like if it were like
Beef jerky.
freeze dried or some sort of dried. What's beef jerky? It's just salt dried or something like that.
Yeah.